You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode is our Christmas special. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate if you're Kate.
Poor Kate.
Happy Holidays. This is our Christmas special. We are covering the comedy horror film Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante, released June 4th, 1984.
Yes. I'm excited about this one. I can't believe that we're at yet another Christmas time. It just, the year just went very quickly. Before you know it, we're going to be into 2022. And I'm excited. Last year we brought Krampus to the table, and that was a ton of fun to cover.
Oh, yeah.
And in this edition, we're going to go back just a bit more and cover Gremlins. And this is a movie that Pake had not seen.
Yeah, I know a lot about it. It's been in the pop culture zeitgeist for so long, but it's one that I've never actually sat and watched and gotten everything. I've seen scenes of it in different pop culture aspects, or kind of know what's going on. To where nothing is a surprise to me, but it was first time I've just sat down and took it all in beginning to end, and it was quite the ride. It was a lot of fun.
I am really looking forward to talking about this movie with you, because it's one that I grew up with, and there's just something really special and fun about it. And I forgot how much fun it was until I watched it again in preparation for this podcast.
Oh, yeah, there's stuff that I was just felt like a kid watching this movie. I'm cracking up. I'm literally just laughing out loud at certain things that are just fun to watch. Yeah. And it just really tickled my fancy.
All right. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. I was hoping that you would like it enough that we'd really have a great time talking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to get to talk about this one. So we're going to get started like we usually do with some behind the scenes stuff. It was filmed mostly at Universal Studios backlot in Universal City, California, and in the sound stages in Burbank, California. The story was conceived and written by Chris Columbus. Yes, that Chris Columbus.
The one that discovered America? No, just kidding.
No.
Discovered in quotations.
Yeah. Yeah, no. This is the Chris Columbus who brought us Home Alone, Adventures in Babysitting, and he brought us the first two Harry Potter films. The budget for this film was $11 million, and it grossed $212.9 million, which is, I think, pretty good. In its opening weekend, Gremlins was up against Ghostbusters. While Ghostbusters did better in most cities, Gremlins fared better in New York City because folks in New York were not super excited about all the disruption caused by the filming of Ghostbusters. So you can't really blame them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we all hate seeing streets blocked off and traffic slowed down to a crawl. That's one of the things that drives you crazy when you're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
So, this film was 106 minutes, and now it's time for Pake to bring us another synopsis.
A young man inadvertently breaks 3 important rules concerning his new pet and unleashes a horde of malevolently mischievous monsters on a small town.
It's funny because I remember one of the taglines for this movie was cute, clever, mischievous, intelligent, dangerous. And I would agree with all of those sentiments.
Yeah.
I mean, cute kind of covers Gizmo, but Stripe and the rest of the merry band of, I'm not even sure what to call them, other than
Gremlins.
What they are. They're gremlins. Are definitely clever, mischievous, intelligent and dangerous.
Yeah.
So.
Like raptors.
Like raptors.
With a smoking habit.
Yeah, with a smoking habit. Oh my gosh. When we get to talk about the Gremlins, boy, do I have something to share.
Nice.
Like, I have written down. I've got a special little segment for that piece.
Nice.
For sure.
I've got all kinds of notes. Because again, anybody who has listened to Run for Your Lives before, the way we kind of break down this, we like to go through like characters and then kind of the creatures or whatever the force that you're running from is part of. After that, break things down. But again, here I am with like a lot of like the main characters. I'm like, yeah, I got some notes, but a lot of my stuff is side stuff. I have a lot of fun stuff to say about the Gremlins and side characters and just goofy things that really made me laugh. So,
all right. Well, I'm glad that you brought that because that's what I count on from you. I feel like if we have to start with Billy, but honestly, I want to start with his dad because there were things about him that, I mean, I wrote down a whole list of all of his inventions that don't work.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so let's do that because that's the first character we see. That's the opening dialogue is the voice of Randall Peltzer. So let's go there. That's fun.
All right. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, he's an inventor.
Yeah. Because I was talking about, this opening dialogue is that's me on the corner. And I was waiting for some new version of REM's Losing My Religion to break out, but it didn't happen. So.
Of course you went there right away, right at the start. Opportunities in some of these older movies just present themselves every time.
But yes, inventor, if you want to use that word.
Yes. I loved his little, he calls it fantastic ideas for a fantastic world. And he makes the illogical logical. And all I could think is, machines that work well for the first few weeks and then they abruptly fall into disrepair or do the opposite of what they're supposed to do.
Right. He's an inventor that doesn't have the best stuff. His machines he's very eccentric, I like, but his machines and equipment, not the best. And some of them are kind of like, that's not the easiest way to do this. I don't know.
I think the only thing that he had on his list of inventions that might work is the smokeless ashtray.
I'm not really sure even what that's supposed to be.
I think you're supposed to put the cigarette inside it. But then I'm just not sure, what are you supposed to do? Like, if you want to smoke it. Yeah, I'm not really sure how it works. But I think there's more potential for it to work than some of the other things. Like, his poor family. I found it, I feel like they placate him because when he comes back from his trip, he comes in and tells his wife, oh, yes. Some folks, they're really excited. They might want to get the bathroom buddy. And his wife just kind of looks at him like, oh, that's great,
nice,
honey. Like, oh. I feel like they're placating him.
Yeah, he's very sure of himself. Mm-hmm. If anybody is, he is. Like, we get this opening scene of him getting, meeting and getting Gizmo and, from the old man and his grandson. But he's like, hi, I'm Randall Peltzer. This here's my invention, the bathroom buddy. It's awful, doesn't work very well at all, but anyway, here's my card.
I think it was great, though, that he gave his card to the grandfather, who was kind of the proprietor of this little eccentric, mystical store. Mm-hmm. Because I think that was the only way he was able to find exactly where they were. Although, I guess, if you read news reports or watch the news reports, you could probably figure out what was going on, and he could have gotten there anyway.
Yeah.
But he's looking for a present for his son, Billy.
Yeah, you know you're desperate for last-minute Christmas presents when you're following some kid into a creepy basement to see if there's anything you like down there. Like, should have just gone to the mall like a week ago, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what this is about. I think he was trying to come up with something clever for his son, and I guess it's better than him trying to invent something for him, because as we learn throughout the entire movie, his track record with things that actually he invents and when they come to fruition and they don't continue to work. Like, they just break down. So I think it's better if he looks outside the home for a present for his son.
Yeah. I've got just little Randall-isms. Again, I don't know why I'm kind of hung up on like these little... Maybe it's the delivery of his line, but he's like, I'll give you $200. That's $200. It's like... The way he said it, I was like, yes, $200 is $200. I don't. Do you need to repeat yourself? Like,
probably not.
I'll give you $200. That's $150. What? No, like it doesn't change.
No. He's not in a foreign country where he has to determine what the exchange rate is. Yet he's kind of acting like it. And they don't really show him the Mogwai anyway. He just hears it, and so he goes and starts looking at it. And tries to make a deal with the grandfather. And that's how I think he's credited on IMDb as his grandfather. And he tells him right away, he says, with Mogwai comes much responsibility. I cannot sell him for any price. Yep.
But then the kid tells Randall to just wait outside and he'll sell him the Mogwai. So everything that happens in this movie is definitely this little boy's fault. Got it.
It is, yes. Although I will definitely thank the little boy for the death of one character that I couldn't stand, was very happy to see go. And we'll get to that in a bit.
Definitely will.
So, Randall Peltzer we talked a little bit about the fact that he has inventions. Like the egg cracker that doesn't work. It cracks all the eggs and puts them in a bowl with the shells.
Super helpful.
Super helpful. He has an orange juice maker that doesn't work.
Well, it's balanced like precariously on a stack of oranges. That's not even logical. Like, I don't...
It's not stable. It's not stable. He also has a card shuffler that he's trying to fix. Something that I called a hammerer, and it's basically a hammer that you just hold it and it pounds in the nail without you having to do anything. And that actually looks like it could work, I guess. A rotating fly swatter, although I'm trying to figure out how it actually swats flies. It didn't make any sense. I don't know, Peg. Would you like a cup of coffee from his coffee maker?
I'll stick with my Keurig, thank you.
Yeah. Basically a lot of goop, and his poor wife was standing there just like stirring the goop. It was kind of
Lynn Peltzer
strange.
Has the patience of a saint. She's just laughing off all of her husband's terrible excuses for inventions when they expectedly don't work. She's like, well, this one's crap again. Like, ha.
Yeah.
I really feel like, she's got this smile on. She's like, oh, my silly husband and his terrible inventions. What a gas. And then this murderous rage is building up inside of her, and she finally got to let that out. So.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. And we will get to that part, because I have some comments on that, too. I have some comments on Lynn Peltzer. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, and I guess there's also, like, this mixer blender
The only
thing.
one that actually worked.
Yes, thank God. Thank God. Thank God it worked. And the smuggler's ashtray. And I think that's everything. He did want to do the Peltzer pet, which was basically taking poor little Gizmo and, not replicating, but basically... There was also... creating new ones.
Walkie-talkie that connected to the phone where you could answer the phone from somewhere else in the house without using the actual like headset or hand thing, whatever.
Yeah.
This was like pre-cell phones, so it was
way pre-cell phone.
So it's kind of a similar thing, but obviously that one didn't work too, and it had an antenna that was 2 miles long, and She'd like answer it and it would just like hang up and keep the phone ringing again.
Yeah, just another one of Peltzer's wonderful inventions. Yeah, it's real interesting. His little focus on trying to create things to make life easier, but it ends up making things harder because you have to clean up the messes after everything fails. So, yeah. He's kind of our narrator, but we really don't have a narrator much more than something at the very beginning and something at the end. And that was it.
Yeah. For one other note on him, I think I have a couple of other, but how he doesn't think a lot of things through. I don't know if it's just when he shows up at the house to give Gizmo to Billy, I was like, why did you wrap him in the box like that? There's literally no air. This is bad. This is not good.
Yeah. It's not
how you
smart.
wrap a living creature. You shouldn't wrap one at all.
No, you shouldn't.
Yep. And then I do like again, how much he believes in himself. At least, he's very constant with that. He takes every opportunity, even when it's not a great opportunity, but it is an opportunity to peddle his worthless inventions. Well,
he likes to go to all those conventions too. And when he's at one during this movie, it's very clear that the inventions that are being showcased at this convention are much more high-tech and much more functional than the ones that he's bringing.
All right. But yeah, that's all the notes I had on him. So, where to?
All right. So should we move on to Billy?
Let's do it.
I mean, this story is mostly about Billy and Gizmo and Stripe and all of the madness that ensues. But there are other pieces, like we talked about, that build into it. Like you have Mrs. Deagle, Mr. Futterman, Kate.
Yeah.
Gerald, who was supposed to be a much bigger character and turned into a much smaller
That makes sense because, the casting and everything, I expected a little more from him because I was like, Judge Reinhold. I was like, obviously to me growing up when I did, I was like, that's Neil from Santa Claus. Like that's the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies. He's in those. That's what I see when I see him. I was like, oh, hey, he's in this.
Before this movie, he had actually been in a movie with Phoebe Cates, who played Kate. He was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And they were, she was kind of his, not love interest, but he was interested in her and watched her from afar, kind of. That was another fun movie. Doesn't really fit the Run for Your Lives
not quite
theme, so we won't be covering it.
Yeah. One other just random note,
we can talk
just like not even cameo, just an actor, but then now has gone on and do other things. I was like, holy crap. Like I just had that note. Jonathan Banks as Deputy Brent. We just get him for those like couple of little scenes. But I was like, it's Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I was like, holy crap.
Yes.
I didn't recognize him the first time I saw him. It wasn't whenever
you don't.
Billy goes into the police station and he's like trying to explain what's going on to the officers. I didn't recognize him then. It wasn't until the scene comes back to them and they've got Gizmo out on the desk with the little flag and stuff and he's cracking jokes. I was like, oh my God, that's Jonathan Banks. Like I didn't.
Yes. He was quite entertaining in this movie too, because not necessarily there, but once they get in the car and they're chasing, they're driving out into check on some things that are going on in the town while, basically Stripe and his band of merry, crazy gremlins are running amok and causing a lot of damage and hurting people. He's kind of freaking out in the car with the sheriff. And that made me laugh because that is not something I have ever seen Mike do on Better Call Saul. I was like, oh my gosh, this is strange to see this because I'm just not used to it.
Yeah, it was they didn't believe Billy at all, and then they go out and they see the things that they do. It's like, well, I bet they believe him now. You know?
Yes, they do. Stripe kind of takes care of them. I don't think that they actually died, but the car flips over.
Fun car flip. That was great. But then they saw Gremlins ravage Santa Claus.
Yes, folks, we are going to have Pake's going to write a whole bunch of twisted Christmas carols and release an album, so watch for that or listen for that soon.
You paying me for that?
No, but we could sell it. Might make some money on it. So let's talk about Billy a little bit. So he's like this comic artist that works at a bank, has this wonderful little dog who's super cute called Barney. And he goes out to get in his car and it doesn't start, so he has to walk to work. And this is where things start to go a little bit crazy for poor Billy. And it's also kind of where we meet the incredibly annoying, evil, terrible woman, Mrs. Deagle. Mm-hmm. She was terrible. She reminded me of like Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have in my notes. Is like I said, Mrs. Deagle, the Ebenezer Scrooge of Kingston Falls.
Mm-hmm. But when she talked, she sounded like the Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz. So I was kind of just like, oh my God, this is just bad. So poor Billy works at, I don't think he wants to work at a bank for the rest of his life. But he does enjoy his good coworker named Kate, who asks him to sign a petition to save the pub, the local pub, make it a historical monument. So Mrs. Deagle doesn't get to tear it down or destroy it.
That's good. Well, yeah, she definitely doesn't get to do that now.
No, thankfully. Thankfully. And based on some of the comments that Gerald makes, it sounds like Billy's doing a lot. The work that he's doing and the money he's making is supporting his family, which makes me think that maybe he and his mom are doing what they can so that Randall can continue to follow his dream of being an inventor.
I believe that Randall's not making any money off of what he's doing.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
He's trying really hard.
Yeah. Definitely trying. But yeah, Billy's kind of carrying the load. But I was like, well, wait, if he's able to walk to work when his car won't start and he still makes it just on time, why does he drive in the first place?
Well, I wondered that as well. I'm like, why are you, I know it's cold out, but really, why are you bothering when you could just get there in 4 minutes? Like, it didn't make any sense to me, but that's okay because this is a movie from the 80s. Things were different then when it came to filmmaking. He has a really fun conversation with his neighbor, Mr. Futterman, who is a very pro-American neighbor who believes in buying American-made things. And he actually mentions Gremlins in some very strange story that he puts together.
Yeah, it's this conspiracy theory about Gremlins being put into foreign-made machinery and then sent into the U.S., which that's definitely a new thought, but it is based off of an actual joke thing. Like back in World War II, that was kind of a thing. Like the military had this in joke that when machinery and equipment would go on the fritz and malfunction, they would say, "Oh, it's the Gremlins again." Like the Gremlins that get inside our machinery and stuff. Like it was a running inside joke. But
oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because he's got this great little snowblower that comes into play later. It's not a snowblower. It's kind of like a snowplow, I guess.
Kentucky Harvester.
Yeah.
Kentucky, yeah.
I'm like, wow, you could plow the whole town with that equipment because most people I know have these snowblowers that just take care of their own yard, but what he had could definitely go out in the streets and plow. So, yeah.
So Billy, comes home, gets Gizmo, all of that. I don't have a lot of notes on Billy just because a lot of him kind of wraps up into the storyline with the Gremlins and a lot of other things in my notes there.
Yeah.
But I did notice pretty early on, as this being my first full watch of the movie, I was like, had that little eye for things where like the second time the sword fell off the wall, I was like, oh, this is going to be a thing. Every time, because it falls off the wall constantly. Like anytime someone comes through the front door, I was like, well, that sword's coming into play. That's going to be an important piece.
Yep, it is. I felt bad for Billy, though, because Mrs. Deagle comes in with her broken, imported porcelain snowman.
It's Bavarian imported snowman. Here's what's left. You're a horrible dog. I'm going to kill your dog. And Barney was like, what'd you say? And he jumped over.
Yeah, the poor dog's freaking out under the desk and then jumps out over and breaks what's left
I was
of
like,
the snowman.
Good boy, Barney. He jumped up and said,
yes.
Fuck you, Bavarian snowman.
It's over. Goodbye. Oh my gosh, I was so scared for Billy, though. I thought he was going to get fired because people there just seem so uptight. It's like everything is secretive. Like when Kate asked him to sign the petition, it was very like, hey, I need you to sign this. It's very secretive about what's going on there. So, but he loves Gizmo, I think, right from the beginning. Like he's really infatuated, or he's just focusing in on like even music. Like he's got this little, I just want to say like it's like one of those Casio keyboards because that's what was really cool at the time. And Gizmo is singing and he's kind of pressing different keys, and then Gizmo will hit the same note. And so it's kind of cool.
Absolutely adorable.
But then shit gets real when Pete comes over.
Which I felt bad for Barney, the dog. Is as bad as it. And he's like sitting there watching them play on the keyboard. He's like, yep, I've been replaced. Awesome.
Yep.
And then even whenever his dad, when Randall comes out, when he's just like, they could replace, this could be the new thing, like the new pet. We'll replace the family dog, like the dog is the family pet. And Barney looks up, like, the fuck you say? Like,
yeah. Not a fan. I'm like, please don't do that. No one needs, no one needs a Peltzer pet. So no, get away from this ridiculous idea. It's crazy. But then Pete accidentally knocks over the water, and then 5 little things pop off of Gizmo. And they watch it unfold, but these 5 are definitely not like Gizmo.
Yeah, something a little different. But Pete, since you brought up Pete, I just, the boy delivering and wearing a Christmas tree. But tiny little Corey Feldman. I was like, whoa.
Yes. Yeah, this was, I think, the same year that he filmed Friday the 13th, Part 4. Like, around the same time. It may have been the next year, maybe, but I think it was around the same time that he filmed that one, and those were really breakout roles for him.
Because he was a little older in Goonies. Goonies came after.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But that was, it was interesting. But he's kind of a strange kid, but he's all into the comics and all. I was like, I don't know why he's hanging out with Billy. There's a kind of an age difference there, but
yeah, okay. I didn't understand that either. But maybe it's kind of like a big brother thing. Like big brothers, big sisters, like some sort of like mentoring, child mentoring, maybe?
I don't know. It was just a way for them to get Corey Feldman in the movie.
Yes.
But yeah.
So they're hanging out. Yeah, so they're hanging out and all of this happens. And Billy decides he goes back, I think it's the local school. He takes one of the Mogwai in. They put a drop of water and one pops off. And so he creates one and shows Hanson, which I think he's a science teacher. And Hanson decides he'll keep one and study it. So he'll do blood work. And when he's drawing the blood, Mogwai is not happy about that. No. Not happy at all.
He felt in that moment, because I know Hanson wasn't like a bad character, not a villainous character at all. But like there was kind of those moments like in that scene and stuff where I was like, why does he feel kind of like a psycho to me? It's like, it's not going to hurt at all.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what are you doing? And then I was like, is there a brain sitting on his desk? I was like, what the? I was like, that must be a paperweight, right? Right? And I was like, yes, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Because then he's like, oh yeah, because he's got it out on the desk when like the kids are in there for class. I was like, but just for a second, I was like, why is he got a brain? Okay.
Why does he got a brain there? It's very creepy. It's a little creepy, for sure.
But yeah, and then he's trying to like make, he's still mad about the blood sample thing. He's like, you remember me, don't you? I'm the nice man who put you in a tiny cage and kept stabbing you with a needle. We're friends, right? Here's some chocolate.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Not a good idea. He doesn't want the chocolate. He waits until Hanson leaves to actually get the rest of Hanson's sandwich at a time when he should not be eating, because while we didn't talk about this at the top of the podcast, there are 3 rules, as Pake mentioned in the synopsis. They need to be kept out of bright lights. You can't get them wet. And the biggest rule of all, never ever feed them after midnight. Which Stripe, since he's such a wonderful, smart, incredible Mogwai, chews through Billy's claw cord.
The sneaky little bastard.
He also leads an army of Mogwai to take Barney and string him up by the lights, which is a little scary because you know that Deagle is after him. So, of course, Billy's gonna not even...
Of course, Billy thinks it was Deagle who did it, which I don't blame him at all, because,
Right.
And your little dog, too. Yeah.
Exactly, like I said. It's like the Wicked Witch. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. And then Stripe chews through the cord, and this unleashes. This is where shit just really starts. Like, you already can tell that Stripe and his friends are different from Gizmo. But they're really different after they chew through the cord. And Billy thinks it's before midnight, so he goes and gives them some fried chicken. And I have to tell you that when they're smacking on that fried chicken and making noises as they're eating, it took me straight back to Yellow Jackets. All of the smacking. I'm like, oh, goodness. Yeah, reminds me of that.
I loved Gizmo in that moment as they're tearing into that chicken, and like the look he gives them, just like, you barbarians, have some class.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. And Billy tries to offer him some, and he's just like, no, doesn't need any. He's so sophisticated compared to the rest of them. He's just kind of sitting on the bed like, no. No, he's interested.
I'm good. I've got my reading material in my movie. I'm happy.
Yeah, he's happy. And that's when the metamorphosis starts.
Yeah, they're like these, like gooey, gross cocoon chrysalis type things that also kind of remind me of the eggs from Alien.
Yes. Yes. But you know what was cool, Pake? All of these were practical effects.
Yeah.
This is before CGI. So you know that those practical effects.
Oh yeah, it's all like puppetry and practical effects, and like just talking about like the practical effect, which is great. Coming off of us doing Paranorman, is I could pick up. They used a lot of stop motion animation with the puppets and stuff that they made, which was really cool. Yeah.
I like that too. I thought you might like that because I know you're such a big fan of Leica and everything that they do. I thought you might like that. And there's a little tidbit that I found that I'll share when we get to production notes that talks a little bit about where they started when they were putting this movie together and what they ended up doing with some of the effects.
Cool.
So I don't want to jump around too much, but man, I really want to read off Mischievous Stripe and all of the things that Gremlins like to do. But I don't think we're quite
Not
there
quite
yet.
there.
We're almost
I'm just going to throw this out
there.
for anybody who is like, their brain keeps buzzing every time we say Stripe. Yes, Stripe. Not Spike.
Not Spike.
That is, it was not Spike, never has been Spike, never will be. No, but that's just one of those things, because I've seen all, like, online It's a Mandela effect thing. I've seen Reddit threads and all kinds of things online of people swearing that the character, the thing's name was Spike. No, never was.
It's Stripe.
It's Stripe. But there were so many people who thought it was that back in like 2016 or whatever, like some of the like production company and stuff of the movie made shirts that said Spike on them just to like feed this Mandela effect even more.
I like that. I think it's funny. Well, things start to go a bit crazy at that point. As Stripe and his friends are eating the chicken, and we have the Mogwai eating a sandwich all past midnight, they all start to change. Mm-hmm. And that's when Hansen, R.I.P. Hansen, goes to check on his patient and realizes that he's not the cute, adorable, furry Mogwai anymore. He's become something much different. Mm-hmm. Something that's a little reptilian. Yeah. Reminded me a little bit of alien-ish reptile. Yeah. Still, is a creature, but it's not the creature that when he left the room. Mm-hmm. This is a much different creature. Yes. And so he lets Billy know that it's hatched, and in between the phone call and Billy getting over there, Hansen is taken out by his patient. Yeah.
And then now it's running amok in the school. And it was in that moment that Billy realized he fucked up.
Yep. And immediately he realizes that his mom is in danger. So he calls her and does not get to really convey to her that she needs to get out of the house. This is when we learn something very important about Lynn Peltzer. Mm. Lynn Peltzer is a badass.
Yeah. Like I said, I think this patience she's been putting up with her husband and his ridiculousness has built this murderous rage within her. And now it's time. She went 0 to 100 real fast and just let it all out. So she grinds up one of the gremlins in a blender bowl thing, which is the first time a Peltzer invention has ever worked. Yes. She goes all Norman Bates on another one on the counter, which is great. Just stabs that one.
My favorite, though, is the one with she sprays oven cleaner in the eyes of one and throws it in the microwave.
Yeah. Nukes him. Yep. Don't fuck with Mama Peltzer. Got it.
Nope. Definitely not. Unfortunately, number 4, because they didn't have names, so I just was like, okay, 1 in the blender, 2 got stabbed, 3 in the microwave. Well, number 4 attacks her from the Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. Billy gets home in time to save her. How did he save her? Oh, wait. It was with that sword that keeps falling.
Chekhov's sword.
And he threw it and threw it into the fire. Mm-hmm. With the sword, he threw it into the fire, rescues his mom, and he realizes he's got a really big problem.
Yeah. And this is the moment where I had like the movie pause and I was trying to do some math, which I learned then I really did. Because I was like, okay, I'm doing the math here. I was like, we've got Gizmo. He made 5 new ones. Billy took 1 to Hansen, and then it made 1 more. So then I was like, okay, there are 6 gremlins other than Gizmo that is still a Mogwai. Those 6 were transformed. I was like, Lynn killed 3 in the kitchen. Billy whacked 1 into the fire. So there's 2 left. Stripe, and then the one that was at the school. And I was like, okay, cool. I've done the math. I'm ready. And then
it doesn't matter.
Forget about the math like right away. Because like, okay, and then Stripe cannonballs into the YMCA pool and creates God knows how many new ones. And all right, that time was wasted. Awesome.
He did have great form though, diving into the pool. Oh, I mean, he really did.
Perfect 10.
He creates a bunch more. And poor Kate is at Dory's pub, where she's working, just so that Dory doesn't have to pay a waitress, because this pub is in such dire straits. She's trying to take care of all of her new customers who don't pay and just want her to take care of them before they kill her, basically. Because it's like has the potential to be bitten at any time, bitten or scratched, because they're all there.
So yeah, the gremlins were tearing down the house over at Dory's Tavern because they sure know how to party. Kate's actually pouring them drinks. I was like, she's like just trying to
and they're drinking them.
But this was one of the scenes that absolutely cracked me up. I was laughing so hard. Just so much pure gold in it. So like, yeah, the flasher that you mentioned, but you get like this poker game at the table, and you know, there's this gremlin sitting next to Stripe who's got like this wig and earrings and lipstick on. And it's like this guy's like, and then Stripe pulls out a gun and shoots one of the other gremlins that's playing poker with him. And you have this kind of like loner one who's sitting at a table by himself, and another one shows up with puppets. And I'm like, what is happening? What?
You're in the middle of a fever dream.
What is going on? And then we get Jazzercise Gremlin. And I was like, this is my favorite thing ever. Like,
I had a feeling you might enjoy this part the most. Yeah, but the best part, even before this, is our good friend, Mrs. Scrooge. Oh, wait, Deagle. The fact that I believe it was Stripe was standing outside of her home and saying, Deagle, 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 Deagle.
Deagle, 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 Deagle. I was like, this is one stop on the Gremlins tour of destruction that I can condone.
Yes. So they lure her outside because they're singing Christmas carols, and they've all got these little scarves on and hats, and they're holding their music. And she goes out and freaks out, but while she's doing that, one of them's already gotten in the house. And
just some rewiring some things. Yeah, which I love Deagle's reaction. She goes, what are they? What are they? They're coming for me. And I was like, yes, they're the ghost of you're awful to everyone you meet past.
Yes. She hates Christmas carolers. She hates everything anyway. And so she gets in her chair to get away.
Fly like a deagle.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I shouldn't have laughed so hard watching an old woman go blasting off upstairs in a speeding lift to go flying out the window. But I have to admit I did. It filled me with holiday cheer. It did.
Well, do you know what? The sheriff and the deputy, our good old Deputy Brent, actually saw her come out, flying out the window, and land on the sidewalk. And I believe it was Brent that looked at the sheriff and said, that was Mrs. Deagle. Yeah, and then no one shed a tear. Okay. She was just gone. Okay. Let's move on. So the Wicked Witch went for one last ride, not on a broomstick. And that was amazing because she was just so vile right from the beginning, especially when she was talking to this poor mother that was standing outside with her kids and just needed a little more time on alone. And she was just like, the bank and I have the same purpose, to make money, not to support a lot of deadbeats.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Mrs. Deagle. I wanted to call her Mrs. Beagle so many times, but it's Deagle. As Stripe tells us, it's Deagle.
Love it. She should have had Gizmo's nickname from Stripe. Caca.
Oh, man. So during all of this, I feel like I can now safely give you the rundown of Gremlins and all the things they love.
All right. They do love throwing things. I learned that. They really love throwing things. Might be their favorite thing to do is throw things.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Here are the things that they love to do. They love to tie dogs in Christmas lights. They love to bite through clock cords. They like to snack and smack. They like to take little road trips to the YMCA to swim and multiply. They like to take snowplows for a joyride into houses.
Yeah, Mr. Futterman, he died thanks to the thing he loved the most. American machinery.
He didn't die, though.
We don't see him again, do we?
No, but he's in the sequel.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch that.
So he's okay. Yeah.
All right.
He's okay.
Well, he was taken out by the thing he loved most. We'll say that. Temporarily taken out by the thing he loved most. American-built machinery. Yeah.
Screaming, gremlins, gremlins, they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of comical. They like to throw mail out of the mailbox. They like to do electrical rewiring with stoplights and lift chairs. Mm-hmm. They like to drink beer and smoke. They like flashing people. They like to shoot each other during poker. They like puppet shows. They like references to Flashdance. Wearing popcorn boxes on their ears, watching and singing songs from Snow White, throwing 7 1/4-inch ripsaw blades at people, shooting crossbows and using chainsaws and then getting dragged away by them. And that is my list of all the things that pretty much Stripe did most of these things.
Yeah. They don't love getting blown up in a movie theater.
No, they frown on that. Although I thought it was super cool.
It's one way to take care of the problem, I guess.
It is. It is. I liked that the white screen, you saw them coming up to the white screen from behind and you could see how it was kind of really creepy.
Yeah.
Like they're all running and then they start clawing through it. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Although with that, I have there's some minor inconsistencies with the Gremlins logic that I did find. I was like, hang on, give me a second. Like with the bright lights, when we have Stripe sabotaging the lift at Deagle's or whatever, and I was like, that foyer that they were in was pretty well lit, and he was just standing out there. But then like the theater screen itself while watching the movie, I was like, they wouldn't like the light reflected off that screen.
Probably not.
And then
not.
Maybe the biggest one though was, I don't know, maybe you could probably explain this movie logic, whatever. But you have Billy going, if he gets to the water, it will start all over again. I was like, wait, they've been running around in and even being buried under at different points. Snow. What is snow?
Yes.
It's just water. They're covered in water. I was like, I can't help but notice these things. I'm just like, so snow is fine. Water. Like I get, because I went online, I was looking, because like there are other people who have like these little inconsistency things where they're like, this movie's been out a long time. There's going to be people debating the logic of Gremlins. And it's like, okay, so beer and orange juice. Okay, we give that a pass because it's not, there is part water, but like there's so many other parts of it.
Yeah.
Because there's chlorine in a swimming pool, but then the ratio of the chlorine, especially because the pool is closed for like Christmas, so it's not being used. So, okay, the water way outweighs in the ratio. We can work with that. It's like, but snow is 100% water. Like there's not, it's frozen, but when it gets on you, it melts into water.
Yes, but in this film, Pake, you have to use a suspension of disbelief.
Mm-hmm. I've learned to have to accept that department very well in a lot of things.
Yes. So just embrace it, let it go, and enjoy it for what it is.
Uh-huh.
One thing about the cops in the car, too, I felt like when they were watching the Santa get attacked, and even just watching Mrs. Deagle, they were just sitting there like they were watching TV.
You're like, oh,
it's like,
that's not good. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, look, what's happened to him? What is that? And they're not getting out to offer to help. They're just observing like they're watching television.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was kind of funny. And then they notice poor Billy and Kate notice that Stripe had left the movie theater because he was hungry.
He went on a little snack run.
More candy.
Yeah.
And so he had gone to the store to get more candy because they had already eaten all the food at the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed to get more. So he broke into a store. So they head in to try to figure out how to stop him. And this is where we learn that Gizmo, despite the fact he probably had never driven one before.
The Fast and the Furious. Gizmo Drift, yes.
Gizmo kind of saved the day with this.
Yeah.
I mean, Stripe had a gun. He tried to shoot Billy, but then Gizmo with the car just flies up and happens to grab a rope that leads to the skylight that lets the bright light in.
Mm-hmm. Which, man, that whole, like, it's like a department store, candy store, whatever. Store.
Yes.
That whole scene, though, was really fun. It's Spielberg, so kind of the nod of having Stripe, like, hiding behind the E.T. toy as Billy walks by. I was like, ha, love that.
It was great.
But Stripe attacking Billy, and I love how he just kept stepping up the violence one thing at a time, because I was like, man, a baseball from a pitching machine is already going to hurt badly enough. But then, wait, there's more. How about a crossbow bolt? Not enough pain for you? Chainsaw time. Oh, let's step it up another level. I'm going to legitimately shoot at you with a gun.
Gun.
There's another song parody I could do right there. Gremlins got a gun, right? But I'm not going to sing.
Oh my god. Oh man, I'm glad we chose this as the Christmas special this year. I really am.
I did like the effect of when the light from when Kate flips on all the lights in the store, and it Stripe covers his eyes for a little bit and looks away and falls back, and the chainsaw hits the ground and then like drags him away.
Oh,
with the chain going. I thought that was really fun.
Me too. I liked it. I'm like, oh, you like this until it drags you away. I mean, he doesn't let go of it. He just lets it drag him away. It's kind of silly.
Yeah. So yeah, you said with Gizmo, the Fast and the Furriest. That's I love that name for him. Opens up that like slat in the roof. Yeah, because Stripe has found this water fountain in the garden center, and he's gonna try to multiply himself. But then he gets melted into gremlin goo instead.
Yes. He scares poor Barney though when he jumps out at the end. His last great leap before he just disintegrates.
Yep. He was the last of this new batch. Hint at the sequel title. See what I did there? Of Mogwai. So the first new batch, not the new batch.
Not the new batch. No.
Is the sequel worth watching?
Yes. Some people like it more than they like the original. I don't, but in a world where we could potentially cover it at some point, I would not be opposed.
Awesome. Good. Is it also a Christmas movie, or is that one can throw in at any point?
Yeah, I don't think Gremlins 2 is a Christmas movie, so it's something we could cover anytime.
So it might pop up sooner than you realize.
You just never know. Because we often have weeks where we're like, oh, let's do something really fun. And not so dark and dreary. All
right. So where are we at? Let's see. Resettle on where we're at on notes, because we have been a lot of Gremlins notes, straight notes. That's awesome. I don't mind jumping around. I love it. I just like, but then I got to see what I have left.
Yes.
Got to go all over the place. I've got nothing left on Billy himself.
Yeah, no.
Kate, I've got a couple notes. We'll talk about her for a minute.
We have to. I feel like her Christmas story.
Very small side character, I think.
Yeah.
For most of this movie.
Really Billy's love interest.
Yeah. But I don't know if I see her as like, I would say not like that great of a character, because I mean she's fine, like there's nothing bad, but just like in the realm of the movie, I was like, man, she's a real downer, isn't she?
Yeah, she had a real rough Christmas story.
Yeah, especially the first time when she's talking about like the suicide rates around the holidays and all this stuff. Before we knew her personal story, I'm like, okay, I get the whole seasonal depression thing, but you don't have to take it to that dark of a place.
Definitely
like,
not.
Damn dirty Christmas hater. What are you doing?
But we do learn that she has a reason to not celebrate Christmas or to be off about Christmas. And it's basically that when she was 9, she waited for her dad to come home. And he unfortunately did not come home from work, did not come home on Christmas. And they found him in the chimney because he was trying to give her a special Christmas, and he was dressed up as Santa. and he slipped and broke his neck and died instantly. And that's a very sad story, so you totally can get it. But it's still, it's sad.
Yeah, as she told that story, I'm like, geez, that is fucking dark. I was like, no wonder you hate Christmas. And again, luckily this is fictional, so I don't feel as bad being like, but you gotta admit that was a pretty dumb plan that your dad had there. Maybe tell somebody you're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that by yourself without anyone knowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good. Definitely not good.
Yeah, the only other note that I have on her really is, again, talking about that scene in the tavern where she works with all of the gremlins just partying it up. And that's her coming to the realization because Billy, terrible friend, isn't telling people the rules and things that he's learned until way too late. So she has to figure out on her own. Again, she's trying to be the best bartender and hostess to these things she can. Mm-hmm. She's keeping their drinks going. She's filling up. And the one who's been chain smoking all night, she's really trying to look out for him. So
yeah,
she lights up a match and she wants to, light up a cigarette for him. And then she realizes he's cowering in fear from the flame and falls back off the stool. They don't like lights. And that's where she picks up the camera and starts just camera flashing all of them to work her way out and make her escape. And that was great. And then Billy swoops in and helps her with the escape there at the end. But that was cool. I was like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I liked that.
Yeah.
Pretty much the entire scene, anything that happened at that tavern
was a riot.
Are like my favorite parts of this movie.
It was so fun. I loved when she and Billy and Gerald are at the tavern and she's, waitressing and Billy's drawing the picture of Mrs. Deagle. Like it's kind of this crazy comic. And Gerald comes in and starts talking about how great he is and asks her out right in front of Billy. And she says no. Like that was great. I'm like, no, you're not a nice man. So no. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We saw more gingerbread though. We did see some gingerbread men, which made me think back to last year's Krampus, although they were probably one of my favorite parts of Krampus last year was the gingerbread men that came to life. That was just so much fun.
Yeah. Let's see. Any other notes that I have on random characters? Because we talked about Randall. We talked about Lynn. So we talked about Pete, really. We get one, he's kind of not in the movie much. They underutilized a little bit. We get the stuff with him at the beginning. We see him leaving the classroom before the attack there on Mr. Hansen, but it was just kind of random. We get a random clip of him fighting gremlins off from his bedroom window,
which was great.
With Petey, fight him off. It was
slingshots and scissors and cutting wires and. Yeah. But that was
and then we hear his voice where he calls into the radio station.
Yeah.
To try to warn people of what's going on. And then Rocket Ricky doesn't believe him until, we hear stuff breaking in. And I was like, yep, Rock and Ricky got raucously wrecked by some rare ruffians. Oh. And his night is over.
Say that 3 times fast.
I probably could. So I think that's all I had on Pete, and then we talked about Deagle.
Yeah. I think the only thing that we have left is to talk about when Grandfather comes to take Gizmo back home. Mm-hmm. Basically.
The whole, bye, Billy. I was,
oh, I know. It was so sad. I remember watching it as a kid, and I think I cried. Because it was just so sad. Because you don't want Gizmo and Billy to be, separated. Mm-hmm. But, Grandfather really lets Randall have it. And tells him, you're not ready. You did not pay attention. You didn't follow the rules. You didn't do what you should have done. But Grandfather believes that Billy might be ready one day. And that gave me hope at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then Randall ends everything with a voiceover basically saying, if anything in your house is breaking down, make sure you turn on all the lights and check the cupboards because you just might have a gremlin in your house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. Scare all children.
Right. Bright light! Gizmo was adorable.
He really was, wasn't he? There were comparisons online to him and Grogu. Yeah, there are discussions about that. Because they're both very small. They have similarly shaped ears.
Yeah.
And they're adorable. They're both adorable. So, of course.
Yeah, we talked about, with Gizmo driving, which was a good callback, though, because we do have that little scene where he's really enamored with watching these old movies and stuff on TV. Yeah, he's watching this old movie where there's like driving and stuff, and you see him kind of mimicking it. So he's into it, and so when he gets his opportunity later, he is so ready.
Yeah, he loved driving that car. That was so much fun for him. I don't think he'd probably ever had that opportunity before, so that was just something different and fun for him to do.
Yeah.
And he saved the day, so I mean, come on. But I don't think I have any other notes. I feel like we have covered everything that I had that was about the characters and the story.
Yeah. Let me see if I have anything else. I don't. Poor Gizmo being mistreated by all the other gremlins. I guess they knew, because you wonder, it's like, well, if they would have if he would have eaten, he didn't want to eat. He knew it was after midnight. Or he wasn't going to. He was the good one. He was the original one. What caused the offshoots to be so mischievous and terrible, I don't know. But he didn't want any part of that. It was like, what if they would have it made that question? It's like, what if they would have forced him to eat after midnight and he turned into one? Would he have been evil, or would he still been nice?
I don't know. He was really cute when he was hiding in the helmet. When they were all cracking out of those cocoons. And he was just looking around in the helmet going, uh-oh. It's like, oh my gosh.
But it was poor. They're throwing darts at him up on the dartboard and threw him down the laundry chute. And it's like, poor Gizmo.
It was very sad.
But the gremlins themselves, they actually looked super cool. The eyes and the spikes on their skin and the ears. I mean, everything was they were it was a perfect balance of scary and creepy and also really cool looking, but also once they throw on costumes and hats and glasses, they're real funny and fun. Yeah. It's it was just the perfect design of a creature. Yeah. And I love what they did with them.
Yeah, me too. I have some notes on that under production notes with more information. So.
All right. Well, we might as well get to that because, those are all my notes as well.
Awesome. Okay. Well, as far as production notes, I have the following. So Gremlins was the fourth highest grossing film of 1984. Steven Spielberg, as executive producer, was heavily involved with the film. After watching Tim Burton's earlier short films, he actually considered him to direct the movie. But since he hadn't directed a full-length feature film before, he decided against it. Chris Columbus's original script had the Gremlins killing poor Barney and killing Billy's mom, chopping off her head and tossing it down the stairs. There were also talks to have the Gremlins attacking a McDonald's and eating the customers instead of food.
They pulled back a little bit.
Just a little.
Things, which is good, I guess.
Yeah. So the set for Kingston Falls is the same one that was used for Back to the Future. Stop motion was tossed around as an idea for the Gremlins, as was the idea of putting costumes on monkeys. But the spider monkey reacted so badly when they put the costume on it and that they went crazy in the office and they decided against it. Joe Dante.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. It just reminds me of a movie called Deadly Eyes where they put rat costumes on dachshunds.
Oh, God.
It's real bad.
Yeah, that sounds really, really awful.
It's really awful. It's real bad. Joe Dante likes to work with the same actors on a regular basis, especially Dick Miller, who he's cast in all but 2 of his films. The voice of Gizmo was Howie Mandel. He actually did it also in Gremlins 2, The New Batch. He recorded the dialogue for the foreign dubs of the movie as well, and he did it phonetically. And Michael Winslow and a host of others provided the voices for Spike and all of the Gremlins. Chris Wallace Workshop was responsible for the Mogwai design, but Spielberg kept changing his mind minute to minute, and that drove them a little bit crazy. Jerry Goldsmith won a Best Music Saturn Award for his score and music efforts. The character of Mrs. Deagle was based on a pre-intervention Ebenezer Scrooge. Didn't end well for her, did it? Steven Spielberg has a cameo in the film as, quote, man riding recumbent bicycle. Originally, Stripe and Gizmo were the same character, but Steven Spielberg wanted one of the Gremlins to be a good guy so the audience could identify with them. In Cantonese, Mogwai means devil, demon, or gremlin. The Mandarin pronunciation is Mogwai. There was no CGI in this film, and all the Gremlins were animatronics. Each cost $30,000 to $40,000. And Zach Galligan, who played Billy, recalled in an interview that security would check the trunks of everyone's cars to make sure that nobody was taking home a souvenir. The smaller Gizmo puppets broke down often, which was very frustrating. Joe Dante actually prefers Gremlins 2, The New Batch, to the original film. It was the first time that the Amblin Entertainment logo appeared on the screen, and the last movie to be shot on Eastman Color 125T film stock, which was discontinued shortly after the movie finished shooting. And those, Pake, are all of my production notes on Gremlins.
Nice. When you were talking about the voice acting for things, the voice of Stripe was Frank Welker.
Ooh.
Who is also pretty well known in a lot of the voice acting world. Of course, with Animaniac stuff, he is Fred and Scooby-Doo and all the, like, Scooby-Doo and Guess Who. The voice of Curious George and a lot of stuff. He's done a lot of Disney work, things like that. So yeah, but yeah, Scooby is obviously one of the biggest things. So yeah, Frank Welker's done a lot of stuff too. So they pulled in some really cool, between Howie Mandel, who's done some fun voice stuff. You talked about Michael Winslow, Police Academy.
Yeah.
And then Frank Welker. So they pulled in some really good voice talent for mainly just like quick little words and like sound effects. Yeah. But it was really good.
Because they're mostly incoherent as far as you can't really tell what they're saying. They did a really great job with being incoherent.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we have pretty much covered all of Gremlins. I'm glad we picked this movie because it was a lot of fun to do. We're so close, Christmas. It's just great to have done this. And I'm glad that you finally were able to sit down and watch it. I feel like with this podcast, both of us have been exposed to movies that we had never seen before. And I think that's awesome.
So yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate and do this time of year. I hope it is awesome. Everyone listening, for sure. Speaking of everybody listening, some of them have some feedback for us.
I'm sure they
Can't
do.
Wait to hear it.
You better answer it, Pake.
All right. We've got some good feedback this week. Thanks, everybody. It's Christmas. It's Christmas Eve if you're listening to this the day that it's out. It is Gremlins. It's a good holiday classic, and you guys came through, and I'm so happy to get through this and read these and check it out. So yeah, we'll go ahead and start off. But first, before Christmas, we're jumping back to some spooky times with some Paranorman stuff. You guys came through for me. Thank you. We got some Paranorman feedback. Week late, but that's great. I asked, I received. Merry Christmas to me. So this first one comes from our good friend on Twitter, Tony. Says, I loved your talk about Paranorman. I found it on Netflix, so I was able to watch it this morning. Such a great movie. It is one of my go-to Halloween movies that I watch during the spooky season. I would love to hear what you both think of Coraline. Coming soon, I promise. Yes. We'll do it. It'll happen.
Coming. Yeah. It's coming. So we heard from Barbie Allen, and she says, I love this movie. So underrated. Glad you're covering it. Barbie, I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know.
Yes.
Let us know what you think of our coverage.
Yeah, that is also related to Paranorman as well.
Yes.
That one, very underrated movie. If you haven't watched it, check it out. Listen to our episode last week. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
All right. But yes, to get into the Gremlins feedback this week, I get Tony again. Yay. And she says on Gremlins, I watched Gremlins for the millionth time. That Mrs. Deagle. She says OM gosh, which is a fun way to type that. But I was like, oh my gosh. She is so mean. So I saw this in theaters when it came out. I was 13 years old, and I was surprised how dark this got. It scared my little sister. I remember critics hating it because of how mean the Gremlins got, but it quickly became a household favorite. I love Gremlins 2. It is a lot of fun. My daughter loved these movies too. In her junior year of high school, she got 2 cats and named one Gizmo. I sent a picture of him. Oh, I need to see that because that is not included in our doc, so you'll have to show that.
He's so cute. Oh my gosh.
I can't wait to hear your coverage. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Pake and Daphne. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Same to you. Thank you for reaching out to us and letting us know what you thought of Gremlins.
Yeah.
So Amelie sent in the following feedback. This movie was one of Jason's picks when we did our Z-Head Christmas special. Bjorn was terrified of this movie when he was little. He actually just saw the cover of the DVD, not the movie. After the Z-Head podcast, when he was much older, we watched it as a family and he loved it. I think this movie is a great classic. My favorite scene is the one where the mother kills the gremlins in the kitchen. The blender and microwave oven kills are the best. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. I love that. She mentioned Bjorn, her son. Because when he was younger, he's terrified of simple things like gremlins. And now horror doesn't scare him as much. Don't play Dead by Daylight with him online. He will murder you in many different ways.
Yes. Yes. But he's a great teammate if he's playing as a survivor. He's a great teammate to help you get out of the killer's clutches.
Good. Yes. All right. This next one is maybe the first time we have gotten feedback in meme form. So
yes,
I will do my best. Really, it's just she took a picture of her watching Gremlins with the scene where Gizmo is standing on the desk with the American flag in hand and meme text under it. She says, Gremlins, basically the COVID-19 story. From China, fairly simple rules to prevent spread. Americans incapable of following those rules, and Christmas is ruined. Yeah.
Agreed.
I dig it.
Yep, absolutely. And guess what? Just in time for Christmas, we have some live Steving.
Yay!
He's back. Steve is here. Let's hear what he has to say about Gremlins.
Hey, Daphne and Pake, it's Steve, and I know I've been neglectful of the Run for Your Lives podcast. I'm so sorry. But Gremlins, wow, I haven't watched this movie I honestly can't remember when the last time was that I actually watched this one through. I know I've seen Gremlins 2 for some reason. The scene with Gizmo dancing to music, that occurs to me, but here we go with Gremlins. Everything's real. Okay, so the 3 rules that, yeah, they're pretty stinking important. You know, no sunlight, don't get them wet, don't feed after midnight. What? You can't have his dog, lady. I don't know how long this is going to go. Wow, I forgot Judge Reinhold played such a jerk in this. It's not a puppy, Billy. Aw, so cute. Gizmo, Mogwai. Whole don't feed him after midnight rule has always puzzled me because, like, how long after midnight do you have to wait? Because, like, everything is after midnight, right? Like, do you have to wait till sunup? Do you have to till 5 a.m.? Is there a rule? What's the deal? And with the Santa hat on, it is a Christmas movie. I forgot. Okay, first broken rule. Got him wet. Gizmo knows this isn't going to be good, these 5 extra Mogwais. Oh, that was gross. I think Stripe just spit up on Gizmo. Ew. Oh, no. What are you doing? You're making more? You're with the chemistry teacher and you're making more? Okay, so I know because I've seen the movie before why Kate hates Christmas, but the reveal, when she does reveal why she hates Christmas. Ugh. Okay, having watched Yellow Jackets, this scene of the Gizmos eating before they change. Yeah, gross. So they sabotage the clock because they want to become gremlins. I think the biology teacher just lost his hand. Ugh. Okay, the full-on Gremlins Invasion has begun. Yeah, Stripe just destroyed these people's houses, this guy's house, and maybe killed him? I don't know. Wow, such a young Jonathan Banks, wow, as the deputy. The smokeless ashtray. Oh, yeah. This is the saddest story of Christmas. Oh, that Phoebe Cates gives. Oh. Even Gizmo can tell this is traumatic as he goes, his ears go back. He's, They're all at the movie theater? Wow. Okay, that was Gremlins. It went long. Sorry. Next movie. Talk to you later.
Thank you so much, Steve. That was an
Yeah.
emotional ride to go on. You lots of I always love it. So much great live Steving. Always appreciate it.
Always. Well, if you'd like to submit feedback like Tony, Amelie, Barbie, Steve, or Megan, you can do so by going to our Facebook page at facebook.com/runforyourlivespodcast. You can email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on Twitter at RFYL Podcast, on Instagram at runforyourlivespodcast. And if you're enjoying the show, tell your friends. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, pretty much all the other podcast players, including YouTube. Go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links you'll ever need and give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that's the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Speaking of sharing the love, I'll go ahead and give a couple shout outs to the podcast universe around us, what friends and myself and Daphne are also working on elsewhere. First off, my other podcast, Strange Indeed with Rima. We are covering Dexter New Blood still, yes, of course, and it is just getting better and better. I am loving it so much. Love being in the world of Dexter. And then me and Rima and Jason also still covering Lock and Key Season 2. We're coming up on the end of that. Episode 9 is out this week, is out right now. You can check that out. And then we're wrapping up with the finale next week. So not a lot of Lock and Key left. I'll be sad when it's over, but I'm enjoying the ride. It's been a lot of fun. And then, of course, on House Podcastica, Wendy, Ben, and Greg are covering Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. Hey, that rhymes. So that's good. And that's been really good. And then, of course, House Podcastica has decided last minute to start covering another show. Daphne, why don't you talk about that?
Yes. So House Podcastica is now covering the Showtime series Yellow Jackets. It airs weekly after Dexter. And this week it was Jason and I who discussed episode 6, Saints. And there was a lot to talk about. This show is really complex at times, and it's just a blast really digging into it. It's definitely a water cooler show. And even though a lot of us aren't in the office to get around the water cooler, it's causing a lot of frenzy in conversations on Facebook and text messaging. So It's a lot of fun. I'm glad that we came together and decided to cover it.
Mm-hmm. I've had to mute my messenger thread on Yellow Jackets because it is blowing up and everybody's talking about it. And I love that, but because of the holiday season, I'm behind and still haven't watched the last episode. And I won't get a chance really to watch it until after Christmas. And so it's like, all right, I love that you guys are engaged. I'm going to have to stay away from that until I get a chance to watch it. But then I get to catch up and see what everybody's saying, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, there's a lot to break down, and you just piece it together. It's like a puzzle.
Yeah. All right, and then on Panels to Pixels, they are covering Hawkeye. The finale was this week. Oh my gosh, it was so good.
I'm
so freaking good. There's some great stuff going on in the MCU right now. Just, man, so good.
Yeah. I don't know, Peg, did you go see that movie that came out last week? What was it? Spider-Man?
Oh, man. Yeah, I think I saw that. Absolutely, I saw that one. And
yes, me too.
Cried a lot.
No spoilers, but it was great.
Oh, just all kinds of emotions. Yes.
Yeah. It ran the gamut for sure.
But yeah, they're covering Hawkeye there, and then on the TV podcast industries, check out that podcast with our friend Derek and his co-hosts, also talking about Hawkeye and Wheel of Time like House Podcastica is. And then on the podcast Adrenaline Cinema, Mark and Jamie are talking the movie They Live, which has a hot rod, Roddy Piper.
I love that movie. It's so crazy. It's just amazing. I love it.
Yes. The Walking Dead cast with our friends Jason and Karen is back. If you're a friend of Deadcast, Karen's back on the Deadcast for this week as they are talking about Krampus, which was our Christmas special last year. This was the first time Jason had seen it, and they had some fun stuff to say about that one. It was fun to listen to, just kind of relive our conversation last year.
Yeah.
And hear through their lens. It was fun.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet, but it's definitely on the list, so I probably will get to it tomorrow. So
all right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And then on the Watched It in the 80s podcast, our friends Damien and Eric have their Christmas special, which is also Gremlins. So if you didn't get enough Gremlins goodies listening to us, go to Watched It in the 80s podcast and hear their take on it as well. A lot of fun, I am sure. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but it's Damien and Eric. It's going to be great.
Yeah, they're actually going to release it next week. It's going to be like out early next week. So I wanted to make sure we put a plug in it for it because it will be coming out probably early next week. So
okay, cool. Awesome. And lastly, Wilhelm, my friend Ben over there, is talking with Mark and Jamie, who were on the Adrenaline Cinema podcast. And they are talking the top 5 holiday movies, which will be a yearly special over on Wilhelm. This is the first time doing it there. So go check that out as well.
Yeah, I need to listen to that because I want to know what they picked. Mm-hmm. I'm always curious what people put together for their lists of favorite things because I know what mine would be. And now that I know, I realize that one of my personal favorite films is a Christmas movie. I can add it to the list.
Right. You'll have to wait till a couple weeks from now to check that out.
Yeah, a couple weeks from now, you guys will learn. You'll figure it out.
But speaking of good friends coming together on podcasts to talk about fun movies, what's going on next week right here on Run for Your Lives?
Well, next week, the Martians have landed and are causing chaos in this wonderful homage to the classic science fiction B-movies of the 1950s. We are joined by our good friend Jerry to discuss Tim Burton's 1996 film Mars Attacks. But the question is, can Daphne survive the punishment when Pake and Jerry unleash their very best puns in a discussion that matches the hilariousness of the movie? I guess you'll have to wait until next week to find out.
Mm-hmm. Maybe this is pre-recorded and I got her to say this stuff before we recorded in case she no longer was with us after all the puns. You'll have to see.
You'll have to wait and see. And with that, we have come to the end of another fun, fabulous holiday special episode. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you'd better run for your lives. Merry Christmas.
And bye-bye.